So because they're referring to the drink and not referring to it separately.
Okay, okay. The whiskey and soda together. Ma'am?
It got disconnected. I'm sorry. So as I was saying, when you're referring to whiskey and soda, you're referring to that particular drink, not referring to them as separate entities. And that's why it's used as that, even when you have the and usage.
Okay, okay, ma'am, I got it.
Okay. So let's go ahead with the case studies for now. Did you solve the last one that I gave for homework? Fourth one I gave, right? Case that four. So we had done this one, case stat 3. Let's discuss case stat 4. Did you do it or do you want to do it now? Guys?
Let's do it now.
Okay.
I want to do it now.
Okay. Just read through it quickly and then we'll solve.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of pre-birthing? The last line.
Pre-birthing time. It's referring to the ship loading. So basically, pre-birthing time is the time which the ship needs to wait before it goes to get loaded. And the berth is the area where they load the ships. So when you think of berth in train sense, that is the berth that you look at. No, the seats that you're given. Is that okay? Not audible, Sneha.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go. The best port in the world is located in the United States of America, it says.
Definitely false.
Probably false.
False.
Probably true.
Definitely false.
Okay, what are the reasons?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
it's nowhere
best.
mentioned about the United States.
Exactly. That is why this is probably false.
Yeah. So, what is the, when you're looking at the rules, and I think it should be probably false instead of definitely false because nothing in the passage has been mentioned about American ports. So they've not mentioned whether they're good or they're bad.
Definitely false.
So, ma'am, probably over here means हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है.
So probably means like it can be, it cannot be. They didn't mention in the passage. We can't assume anything against it. If the passage said something like the worst port in the world is located in the United States of America, and then it goes and asks you the best port in the world is located in United States of America, then I'm going to write definitely false. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Contradicts. Then it is definitely false.
Huh. Indian ports have not been graded so far on the international standard.
Definitely true.
Definitely
Definitely
true.
false.
Definitely true.
Ma'am, definitely true.
Have not been graded so far. So where do you find the proof?
In the first line, it
Yes,
says
ma'am. The
port
first
sector
line.
and
Yeah.
still lags far behind the
Far behind the
international.
international ports.
But it just says that it lags far behind the international ports and container traffic, though there has been considerable growth in the segment over past few years. There is need to continually benchmark Indian ports against the best port worldwide and continue to engage in policy efforts so to attain prices per container of port services which are lowest in the world. Average turnaround time for ship docking, pre-wetting time are shown increase. So Indian ports have not been graded so far on the international standard. Nothing about this particular factor is mentioned.
I mean, the first line it says still lags far behind the international ports, and in the second sentence it says is not been graded so far on the international standards. That basically means the same thing, I guess.
So I understand what you're trying to say over there. But in this, if you try to understand what the passage is trying to say, then here it says that it definitely needs higher investment in the port sector, and it's not as good as international ports. Okay, it says it lags far behind, which means it's not as good. Then later on they talk about how there has been growth in this segment. And after that, they say there is need to continually benchmark Indian ports against the best ports worldwide and continue to engage in policy efforts so to attain prices per container of port services, etc., etc. So here you're looking at, they're telling you that you should compare Indian ports to these international ports, try to make them function like those. So they're talking about what should be done. So that is what this third line is. So that is not anything to do with the grading or mention of that grading. So I think it should be
Probably false.
probably false. Makes more sense to go with that option. Because it also mentions there is a need to continually benchmark Indian ports. So it says that you should be continually doing it, but it doesn't state anything that it hasn't been done in the past. So that is not mentioned. So if the past of this hasn't been mentioned, So they're talking about higher investment in the port sector, but they've not said anything like there is no investment in the port sector. That means the port sector has certain establishment. So when it also talks about this considerable growth, then again it's talking about the positive side of the thing. However, when you're looking at the second sentence, the statement is negative in the sense that they're saying that Indian ports never even compare themselves to the international ports. They're like not, they're far behind in every possible manner. So here they're basically talking about the opposite effect. So you have to understand the overall meaning of the passage as well. Is that okay, Harsh?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Next, pre-birthing time is gradually decreasing over the year.
Definitely false.
Definitely
Definitely
false.
false.
Definitely false.
So when you're looking at the last statement, it's the opposite of what.
Yes, increasing.
Correct. So the next one, Indian ports need considerable development to match with the best ports in the world.
Definitely true.
Definitely true.
So here you will consider the definitely true part because here you're talking about this first three lines are what I'm giving you this. Then the last one, Indian ports offer the lowest price per container as service charges.
Probably true.
Definitely true.
Continue to engage in policy efforts so as to attain prices per container of port services which are the lowest in the world. It's talking about how it should attain it, right? So it definitely means that it's the opposite. Don't you think so? Over here, if you look, Indian ports against the best ports worldwide and continue to engage in policy efforts so as to attain prices per container of port services which are the lowest in the world. So when you're talking
Yes,
about
ma'am.
this,
Definitely false.
so this is
Definitely
definitely
false. Yes, ma'am.
it
Attain
indicates,
prices.
yeah, it indicates that this is not the lowest right now. We need to do this to get to the lowest.
Can you please explain the fourth one again?
Now, fourth one is talking about Indian ports offer the lowest price per container as service charges. So when you
Fourth
talk
one,
about
fourth.
fourth, okay, Indian ports need considerable development to match with the best ports in the world. Here, India needs higher investment in the port sector, still lags far behind international ports. Here they've indicated that it's behind international ports and it needs to change. Then they talk about how there has been considerable growth, etc., etc. And here is the proof for it. There is a need to continually benchmark Indian ports against the best ports worldwide and continue to engage in policy efforts, etc., etc., etc. So this is what is meant by this particular statement over here. So they need considerable development to match the best ports in the world because they talk about how they have to match the best against the best parts worldwide here. Is that fine?
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Okay, guys.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Over here, it's written that. I got a little confused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, ma'am, the first line in that case study, my mind is still stuck over there with the still lag thing for the second one.
Indian ports have not been graded so far on the international standard.
And my mind is still stuck, like still lag. What does still lags mean over there?
Lags means lagging behind someone is being not being as developed as they are. So you lag behind someone in studies. So they are better at it. So lagging behind in your classes would be you don't go to school for like a week. So you're lagging behind in your studies because of that. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. I need to process.
Yeah. Just leave it there in your mind for a bit and it'll be fine. So the difference here is they're talking about whether they've been compared before to the international standard or not, and like anything like that. So here there are no details given to us about that grading. So we are not going to assume anything.
So over here, ma'am, what would be the answer you had mentioned?
The answer would be Indian ports have not been graded so far on the international standard.
Ma'am, answer could be
Probably
probably
false.
true.
Probably.
False it will be.
And because there are some, statement,
It's
but not
probably false.
truly.
Because when you're talking about Indian ports have not been graded so far on the international standard, it's very different from the statement which is presented in these lines over here. So here, basically, what they are trying to say is that the port sector is very backwards, which it is not, right? That's why it's probably false. Because of this part, especially. Considerable growth in this segment and continually benchmark Indian ports against best ports worldwide and continue to engage in policy efforts, because this is indicating that there are already policy efforts which are changing the scenario, and there are already benchmarking Indian ports against the best ports. That's why they're asking you to use, that's why they're using continually, otherwise they won't use this word. From this word, it's indicated. Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
So this one gives you opposite kind of a scenario, but not exactly opposite. That's why you cannot assume so. So you'll take with the safest answer, which is probably false. Is that fine? I will move on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, this part is a little more complicated when it comes to major objective or major factor or minor factor, major assumption in your decision making questions. So these are again, excuse me, these are again types of caselets, case studies that you're looking at. So let me first go over what a major objective or a major factor or what a minor factor and this major assumption, these statements are. So when you're looking at these kinds of questions, they'll present you with a paragraph or a number of paragraphs, which will be in that passage that is given to you. Now, while reading it, you don't have to pay special attention to one part of the paragraph anymore, because now you're looking at a case study and you have to go through it. So when you're going through it, you'll give it a more serious read than you give your comprehension passages, because you're trying to analyze something. Now, in that passage, try to recognize what is the problem that they are solving or what is the issue that is being talked about in that passage. Because most of these times, when you're talking about decision making kind of questions, here they will have one major decision being taken. And that major decision which is being taken will be related directly to the major objective, major factors, minor factors, and major assumptions of that passage. So, first need is to break down the passage to understand what are the different parts of it, to understand what is the main decision being taken, then think about what are the reasons it was being taken, or what are the causes, as well as what are the effects of that particular decision. And then you'll be able to define what the major factor, minor factor, or major assumption in making the decision is. So, starting with the major objective, when you're taking a particular decision, there is a particular reason you take it. So, a person who has a tiny store would want to expand his store. So, that's why he would consider another store which is beside his. And if that other person is not having that much of a good business, then this person would also think of maybe taking that store from him and merging the two stores together. So the reasons over here are multiple. So one is that his business is expanding. He can afford to extend his shop space. Second reason is that the person whose shop is there next to his business is not going well. So he might be interested in selling it off. Right. So these are the different factors which will be involved. But now availability of money is one of the primary reasons. So if this person does not have money to buy that particular land, to merge it and all of that, then none of this will happen. So when you think about the major objective is expansion of his area. Then when you think of the factors which are involved, that would be the other person's economic condition and as well as your economic condition. So these are the different factors involved. Now, assumption that he's probably made here is that the other person would be interested in selling his store. Now, this is a major assumption that the person has taken in when taking this decision. So, when you're looking at this arrangement of the problem, you found out that there is a problem, which is the expansion of the store or whatever reasons you're looking at. Then you're looking at the different factors which are considered, then thinking of which factor comes first, which comes next, or there are codependent factors. So there will be a tinier factor which will be related to another big factor. So there are sub factors that you're looking at. So then these sub factors are the minor factors that you're looking at, and the bigger chunks, the ones which are more general or more obviously there in your face, are the major factors. And finally, major assumptions are the things which are assumed to be true in order to take that particular decision or for that particular decision to work. So mostly they're not directly dependent on the person who's taking the decision. They will be dependent on the external factors. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it will become way clearer when we try and solve these, but just keep these things in mind. What a major objective is, what a major factor is, what a minor factor is, and what a major assumption is. And when you're looking at the passage itself, think of what the decision is that the passage is talking about. So let's go to the very first one. Not huge, but a little wordy. Excuse me. Guys, let me know when you're done.
Can you show the questions?
No, ma'am, wait for a sec, please.
Okay.
Done, ma'am.
What are the questions? So read the questions. Most of the potential consumers were waiting for the pricier and much hyped iPhone X, which should be available just over a month after the iPhone 8 series goes on sale.
Right.
So this is
Major factor.
Major factor.
what is the decision being taken?
The sale of iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, I guess.
Yeah, it was much hyped over there. All the consumers were waiting for it.
But other than
Major
that,
assumption.
no, it isn't assumption, definitely not. Because you have this over here, no? It's a report. A recent report by Reuters said that low turnout globally was in part due to reviews of the new handset. Oh no, this is different. Several analysts have predicted shortage of iPhones. No.
Ma'am, I was also thinking about the second paragraph, which I believe, if you
Indian consumers are mirroring a trend reported from Apple key markets. A fewer customers queued up outside stores to buy iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, with most people waiting for iPhone X. And here also again,
yes,
retailer said most of the potential customers are waiting for this. So I think over here, you're looking at iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, which is the major thing all over the passage. So you're looking at how to increase their sales, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it should be the objective, right? This most of the potential consumers were waiting for the price here and much hyped iPhone X, which would be available just over a month after the iPhone 8 series goes on sale.
Can you explain the objective thing? Like, why major objective?
Why major objective? So when you're looking at the passage, when you read the passage, you have to understand number one thing, that what is the passage here basically talking about, right? And when you look at the major objectives definition, that is one of the goals sought by the decision maker or the major reason the decision is being taken. So the major reason why this is happening, why the fanfare is missing around iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, why their sales are low, the major reason is because of the iPhone X's being hyped up, which they're saying would reduce over time when iPhone X is launched and there is lesser amount of iPhone X available and other phones are going to be the second choice of the people. They'll take 8 and 8 Plus.
Ma'am,
Mom, can we say that Apple, is aiming at stock clearance before
Yeah.
the iPhone 10 it launches iPhone 10. So in that case, won't the first point be a major objective because they want to, major factor? Because the sale of the iPhone 10 will go down if iPhone 8 is not, um, adequately bought by the people. So won't this be a major factor affecting the sale of iPhone 10?
When you look over here, dear, so there is sign of some anxiety which is not typical of the etc. 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 But here it says like companies confident sales of iPhone 8 series will pick up as its India launches time to cover both key festivals of this. Okay, so they're saying because they're going to launch in the festival time, iPhone 8 series will pick up anyway. After that, again, they talk about this stock around 500 units at the launch phase, without which after that, you know that okay, adequate stock won't be available. So they mention this. If there is a shortage of iPhone X, as expected, whereby the buyers withholding their purchase decision will go for iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. So when the iPhone X is launched, and because it will be limited, the buyers will go for iPhone 8. That's what they're saying.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
because of them waiting for iPhone X, the sales of iPhone 8 is stopping. That is what the major reason is, right?
So, ma'am, what's the answer?
It's the major objective in this decision. So they're constantly giving us proof for this statement. When you look at the passage, it's no more an assumption if you have more than one proof given.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Apple wants to push sales from the store.
Minor factor.
Why minor factor?
Mom, this should
because
also be the objective, no?
Yeah, this is again like very objective based thing. So you're looking at major factor, not minor factor. Apple wants to push sales from the store. So company is confident. No.
It will be a major factor because they are asking exclusive stores to stock around 500 units and stuff.
So here you have this given. And there is anxiety which is not typical of Apple again. Demand may pick up, etc. etc.
Yes, ma'am, major factor.
Major factor. Because the company definitely wants to push sales from there, and that's why they're stocking 500 units at the launch phase. There was something else also mentioned in the passage. So, here. 3 senior industry executives said Apple was asking its exclusive stores in India, franchisee run Apple resellers, stock a minimum number of headsets to push sales from the store. So definitely a major factor if it's being mentioned more than one time in the passage over and over again. This is also one of the main reasons.
Mom, will this not be the objective of Apple?
No, it isn't the objective factor. Objective over here is the sales of iPhone 8 and 8 Plus.
Yes, ma'am, and the second point is also indicative of that, right? The sale of iPhone 8 and 8 Plus.
Yeah, but here you're talking about the specificity of sales from the stores, not like online stores or all of that. Later on, they somewhere mentioned all of this, no possibilities of increased cashback, buyback offer on these two models, etc., etc. Don't be confused about this. when you're thinking about the sales from the store part, it's an entirely different factor. When you're thinking about the sales of iPhone 8 series being stopped or like being hindered by iPhone X coming in between the launch also. So there are two different things that you're talking about right now.
Okay.
Right. The buyers withholding their purchase decision will go for iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Now this is
Objective.
Oh, this is a major assumption.
Major assumption.
This is why they are taking all of these decisions. All of the decisions being taken in this passage are based on this idea that most of the people are withholding their their purchase of iPhone X, and that's why they're going for they're not going for iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. And that's why they're still stocking up the handsets, because they are assuming that the people will start buying them after Diwali and the Shera launch, or after iPhone X is not that much in supply, the demand is more, right? So this is the major assumption which is affecting this decision making. Is it okay?
Yes.
Come to the next one. There were reviews of the new handsets having fewer incremental features over the previous series. This is given over here. A recent report by Reuters said that the low turnout globally was in part due to reviews of the new handsets having fewer incremental features over the previous series. They're talking about 8 and 8 Plus. So what is this?
Major factor.
This is major factor. Major factor, no, because they're saying low turnout globally was in part due to reviews of the new handsets, etc., etc.
I think it's minor factor.
Minor factor only
It's not
once
directly
mentioned in the passage. Yeah,
connected to the sale of iPhone 8.
because it's also the brand image that the people go for in iPhones, right? It's not just that also, and the ease of the user interface, basically. So when you're looking at this particular part of the passage, if you see the entire passage, whenever it's talking about any of the factors, it instates those factors or talks about them over and over again. But this particular factor is only mentioned once. And that too, it says turnout globally was in part due to. So when you're looking at in part, it makes it minor factor. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next one, there will be a shortage of iPhone X when sales of the substantially upgraded version starts.
Major assumption.
Why?
Written over here.
Yeah. So several analysts have predicted a shortage of iPhone X when the sales of substantially upgraded versions start. So here they're saying that analysts have predicted this, etc., etc. But then again, it's a major assumption, which is why people are assuming like maybe this is the reason, that is the reason. So, and that is why they've taken the decision.
Ma'am, like the sentences like this, like the assumptions are always like major assumptions. Like here it is assuming. So we need to consider it as assumption only.
So think about, like, assumption would be mostly think about who's the person or company taking decision. Here, we are going to think about Apple. Okay. So we're thinking about Apple mainly, and here we're thinking about the major decision being taken about how to boost sales of iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is the major decision being taken here. That's why we were looking at what is the major objective. Then we started looking at other factors. So major assumption would become those things which the person who has taken decision took into their mind before thinking about things like, okay, let's stock up 500 sets at least at the launch. Doesn't matter, because analysts are saying this, other people are saying this, things are pointing toward this. And then the negative minor factor is also taken in part, which says a recent report by Reuters said that low turnout globally was in part to this. So when you're having a debate or you have an argument, then you're looking at the positive side also, negative side also. And then you look at the situation and then make certain assumptions based on the factors that are given to you. So this anything which is positively given, which can be taken as a base of truth for your statement or your decision, then that becomes your assumption. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Come to this one. Telecom industry. This is it visible to you guys?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just read through. Let's discuss.
Can you show the questions?
Is everybody done reading? I'll just scroll a little up. So done? Should we
Yes,
go?
ma'am.
Okay. Let's go. The telecom regulator wants to make it easier to do business in the rapidly. Okay, wait. Did you understand what is the decision they're talking about here? Guys?
I was a bit confused, like what is the decision?
Ma'am, how do you land up to a decision? Like, I'm just stuck there.
So if you look over here, telecom regulator has recommended time-bound approval of dash more option, this, mainstreaming, penalty process measure, make it easier, do business, rapidly consolidating, financial trouble sector. This is the main problem. In the very first sentence or the last sentence of the passages, even in caselets, you will usually find your major objective. This is the major objective of this entire passage, what goes on. So here they're talking about the past of all of these mergers, what has happened, what can happen, different possibilities, different pros and cons and all of that they start measuring later. But the first thing that they're considering over here is how to do business in a rapidly consolidating but financially troubled sector easily. That is the main thing. Okay. Is it a little clear after I told you this?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you're looking at the rest of the passage, you'll see that rest of it is just major assumption and factors which are involved. So the first question states, the telecom regulator wants to make it easier to do business in the rapidly consolidating but financially troubled sector, which is what they've...
Major objectives.
So they've defined the major objective in my mind. So because of this first line over here, which gives us this, plus what follows on in the rest of the passage, we can assume so, that it is the major objective of the passage. Right? Here also in the end, you see, at a time when consolidation, reducing the number of players, not reducing competition, would improve business environment, add clarity on the policy level. The written approval for the merger of service licenses from the licensor takes a very long time.
Major factor.
Major factor.
Major factor.
Correct. So when you're talking about here, making it easier, merger licenses takes a very long time. Such considerable delays could hamper the benefits of synergies through a merger. So that should be a major factor because this is one of the main things that they want to reduce.
Ma'am, we actually have another class.
Oh, okay. So at 8 you have another session. Okay, we'll conclude this session.
Ma'am, can we just
Ma'am,
discuss the
we'll finish
3
this.
and then leave?
I'll just discuss the correct option for this one. This one should be a major factor. Next one, telcos feel that there would be a reduction in the long and financial
Minor factor.
losses. Yeah, this is a minor factor. The next one, TRAI feels that a mechanism is in place.
I was confused between major assumption and major factor.
A minor factor, I guess.
So where is this mentioned over here? The TRAI word. Here, no?
Yes, ma'am.
It was given somewhere that
since a mechanism is now in place, the resultant entity after merger should be given.
Since a mechanism is now in place, resultant entity.
It will be a major factor, I think.
No, it should be a minor factor because it's a suggestion, like because the mechanism is now in place. Resultant entity after merger should be given an option to either surrender or whatever. It's not a major factor because it's not by everybody that you're looking at. Since a mechanism is now in place, this is not gonna. So mechanism is not changing the entire situation. Also, other factors are going to the licensing. All of that also matters, right? As well as
I was also thinking about the assumption, like because of the word since, I thought that it's not proven that they have rectified the mechanism. So I was confused between major factor and major assumption because of the word since.
Oh, don't be. No, it's not that meaning over here. Since a mechanism is now in place, what they're saying is because now it is like this, things won't be happening badly anymore, is what their meaning is here. So like that over here, that you say. Since a mechanism is now in place, resultant entity after merger should be given an option to either surrender or trade its spectrum holding to shed its extra spectrum holding beyond permissible spectrum cap within 1 year.
What is the answer of third one?
So the telcos feel that there will be a reduction in long and financial training process of litigation. We didn't discuss this, did we?
Yes, ma'am. Minor factor.
It's a minor factor. It's given as a minor factor.
Okay, ma'am.
And the last one is a little confusing, I feel. Can you please discuss
The telecom industry expects an improvement in business environment.
Major assumption.
Assumption expect it's come.
Because
This is definitely an assumption because nowhere is it given, but that is what the people want to assume for it to, improve and become financially stable.
Okay, ma'am.
So, where is the mention of this anyhow? The telecom industry expects an improvement in business environment.
Ma'am, the last statement itself, the telecom industry said the moves
So
were
they're
implemented by
assuming,
the
yes. Telecom industry said that the moves, when implemented by DOT, would improve business environment and add clarity on policy level. Correct, correct.
What's the meaning of consolidation? Is reducing the number of players?
Consolidation is collectiveness. So it will mean coming together as one, consolidated efforts. So when you say consolidated effort towards something, that means united effort towards something.
And ma'am, what will be the answer for the fourth one, which we were discussing earlier? What will be the answer for the fourth one?
TRI feels that mechanism is in place is a minor factor. Sorry, no. Yes, it is. TRI feels the mechanism is in place. So this will, the mechanism will definitely help with the change or improvement in the financially. So this is the reason that you're looking at, right? So you'll think how this is helping the major factor or the major decision. So any major objective or the major decision is being affected by that. When you think of that in relationship to the arrangement. Is that fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then guys, you can attend your next session. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, we'll be having one more class of this, right?
For this, yeah, we'll have another class. Not tomorrow, maybe. I don't know, maybe tomorrow. Let's see.
Yes, ma'am. If a frequent 2-3 classes more would be really good because of
back
the
to back
decision making.
will be fine.
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am, can we leave?
Yeah. Tomorrow, please do the next caselet 7 from home. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, guys. Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.